is going today. Look, you know my name's Dwayne.
My name's Jasmine.
We're Dwayne and Jasmine. We have three disturbing true baby.
I mean, it still would be true.
Horror stories. Yeah, I know. I just want to say it right. I won't say it right about Mr. Nightmare.
Okay.
If you guys have any direction requests, please follow us on all social media and links below.
Subscribe.
So like a sneak.
Did you ever have a babysitter?
No.
I never had a babysitter, but I went to daycare until then. When I got old enough.
Yeah. I think
my brother just like
by the age of 8, I was just about 10. Now 10, I can handle myself. So
we were like what, 9 and 8?
Up until the age
me and my brother.
2010, my parents always insisted I have a babysitter. I guess my being an only child had a lot to do with it.
That was bad.
Might have gone on longer, but something happened with the last babysitter I ever had. He was 18 years old. His name was James. It was the second time he was watching me overnight.
Nice
back now, I can see him as a really awkward and creepy kid. He didn't really say much, and he apparently didn't know what personal space was.
Oh no.
So anyway, I was watching a TV show in the living room, and James came down from the room he was supposed to sleep in. He came into the living room and just sat down on the couch behind me.
Okay.
He didn't say anything or make any noise after that. So naturally, I eventually turned around to see him looking at me. It was weird. I don't remember if I found it creepy or not, but I do remember laughing shyly. Then he broke the silence between us and asked me if I wanted to play a video game.
Yeah, can we not be awkward?
Video games. That was more of a boy thing, but I said yes anyway.
Oh, it's a girl.
He went upstairs to my dad's room and grabbed his Xbox 360. It was weird that he even knew that was there.
Right, you're right.
Plus, I didn't ask
You don't live there.
Maybe my dad told him about it. James went about setting up the Xbox in the living room, and he put on what I think was Halo 2. I wasn't much of a gamer. It became obvious quickly since he told me like 10 times in a row. James decided to take it upon himself to get up and show me how to play better. He grabbed both my hands and tried to mimic the controls so that I could get a feel for what buttons did what.
No, you just tell them. You don't hand over hand it.
It made me a bit uneasy. His body was literally leaning against mine as his hands held mine while I held the controller.
Oh no.
This went on for some time before I shyly said, I don't like this game, and wanted to stop. He looked upset, and then said okay as he sat back down on the couch and continued to play on his own.
What you trying to do?
I went upstairs to my room to watch TV, and at some point I fell asleep with the TV on.
Oh no.
I know because I woke up to the glaring light of the TV in my dark room. As soon as I sat up, the springs in my mattress made a crunching noise. But underneath that sound, I could swear I heard a shuffling noise come from somewhere in my room.
What?
I wanted to call for James because I was scared, but I didn't want to make too much noise.
James is in that room.
I looked around my room as I sat up in my bed, afraid I was going to find someone. Then my eyes stopped on the closet door, which was half open. I squinted my eyes to see better, but when a white screen came up on the TV, it gave off enough light to reveal James standing in my closet.
What?
Wow.
I let out a noticeable gasp, and I guess he noticed. He came out slowly, going, shh, shh.
What you mean, shush?
His arms out. I sat there frozen in fear as he came closer, telling me how pretty he thought I was.
Oh no.
I knew what he was.
That's why you gotta do background checks, y'all.
It was an opportune moment for me to slip through him into the door. I took it. I knew to run to the office downstairs, which had a lock, but not before grabbing a phone to call my dad. James knocked on the door, claiming he wasn't going to do anything, begging me not to call my dad.
No.
My dad was, of course, furious on the phone and told me to stay where I was, and he'd be home in an hour.
Yeah. An hour? Dad gone.
It didn't matter, though, because my parents had his parents' information.
Right.
They called the police promptly, who I explained what happened to. It didn't matter, though, because my parents had his parents' information.
Right.
They called the police promptly, who I explained what happened to. James was arrested on some kind of charge for sexual misconduct. Or something like that.
Good.
Ever since that day, I was trusted to be alone without a babysitter.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but I still think about James at least once every other day.
That man talking about some shush, ain't nothing gonna happen.
You look real pretty.
You said I look pretty and you in my room when I'm sleeping.
I said goodbye to my mom as I hung up the phone and walked up the stairs to Tyler's house. The kid who I'd be babysitting. I greeted his mom at the door, who was in a hurry. She told me everything over the phone so that she'd be able to leave as soon as I got there. She hurried into the cab out front and headed off to the airport. Tyler was 5 years old and had autism, so I knew watching him was going to be a bit of a challenge.
It'll be okay.
I got myself accustomed to Tyler's behavior and ways of interacting, and I got used to it and learned to accommodate him. I would hear him talking to himself in different rooms. Usually I'd assume he was playing, but sometimes it seemed like he was literally just talking to himself. I'd be watching Tyler for the whole weekend. On the first night, I woke up to Tyler's laughing outside of the room I was sleeping in. I was confused when I saw the bedroom door open, because I knew I had closed it.
He opened it properly.
I went to see where Tyler was. His laughs were coming from his room. A crack in the wood floor made his laughter suddenly stop, and then the light from his room suddenly went dark.
What?
And I heard him jump into bed.
Huh?
I
What's in
wasn't
there?
halfway across the hallway yet. I still called out to Tyler to stay in bed. Then I went back to sleep.
No, somebody's there. You need to check. You need to check on
What he
him.
was doing.
That's your
I
job.
couldn't get much more of a response out of him than I don't remember. For the rest of the day, I tried to play games and watch TV with him. He seemed more interested in playing in his room upstairs, though, so I let him be and watch TV myself. Basically until the sun went down, minus making dinner and other smaller chores. Eventually the time came for bed, and I tucked Tyler in, making sure to tell him to stay in his bed this time. I went to sleep no more than an hour later. Once again, I was woken up by a noise. It was a giggling noise. Then I heard him whispering. It had to be Tyler. I sat up, rubbed my eyes, and looked around the room. Tyler, I called out.
Talking to a demon.
There was the giggling
Maybe.
again. It came from across the room. I flicked on the lamp, and there was Tyler, sitting in the closet with the door slit half open, revealing only his face. I have to admit, it was a disturbing thing to witness at 2 in the morning.
Right.
See, the angle of the light
at
hitting
2 in
his
the
face
morning.
made the sight even more disturbing.
Right. Imagine the light and you just see.
I got up and
Just
went
see
over
half of his
to pull him
face.
out of the closet. I was upset with him and let him know it. I brought him back to his bed and asked him why he did that. His response was unsettling. He said Tony told him to.
Who's Tony?
I asked him who Tony was. He said it was the man in the closet he was talking to. My heart skipped a beat as he said this.
Is he still in there?
Still, I knew it was just his wild imagination.
No.
Nah. You gotta check.
I told him to stay in bed for real this time or there would be consequences. I went back to my guest room and shut the door. As I laid in bed, I thought about what Tyler said about the man in the closet.
Yeah.
Why would he say that? I lay on my side and for the longest time tried my best to clear my head and just go to sleep. But there was a sudden sound of something hitting the closet door, almost like a knee or something.
Oh
It
no.
was definitely not the sound of an object falling or hitting the door.
Like someone moving.
Grab a weapon.
Tyler's name,
Yes.
hoping it was just him playing games again. No answers. So now I called out Tyler louder, loud enough for him to hear me across the hall and in his room. He called back yes down the hall. At that moment, I basically
My
jumped out of
gosh.
bed and ran to Tyler's room to get him out of his bed. I carried him to a bathroom where we hid while I called the cops. I stayed on the line with the 911 operator, only whispering occasionally that we were still okay to the operator, until the cops finally
That's
banged on
nice.
the door downstairs.
No.
I heard them open the front door, which was weird. It should have been locked.
He
They shouted
ran.
police,
Yeah.
which I responded to by running with Tyler in my arms to the living room. The rest of the story is history. The intruder in the closet who was talking to Tyler walked out the front door. And by the next day, that was the end of me and that family.
Me and that family
I
is
don't know what
done.
happened after that. Whoever was
Oh
back-
no, you got. I don't got. You don't pay me enough for this. I don't got time.
Y'all got people coming in
Y'all
the
got people.
house, and he playing with them and stuff.
I ain't got time for this. I'm done with this family. Oh my god. Best thing I ever heard in my life.
Growing up, my brother and I always had a babysitter.
It's funny he's up done with the family like all the time.
How am I finding menopause?
God. Best thing I ever heard in my life.
Growing up, my brother and I always had a babysitter.
It's funny he's up there with the family like all the time.
I was around 10 years old when my little brother and I needed to be babysat on a Saturday night because my dad was working the night shift and my mom was in Italy. I'll refer to my brother as T.
She could go blanket on vacation with all of them.
Who was named Keith, by the way, actually knew my dad from work. And when my dad mentioned he had no one to watch us, Keith jumped into the conversation and volunteered to watch us. He didn't know Keith very well, apart from saying hi once in a while to him at work.
No.
But apparently he knew him enough to trust him with us. It was 6 p.m., already dark out. Our dad walked up to Keith's front door with us and rang the bell. Right from the get-go, Keith seemed super friendly, a little overly friendly, always smiling no matter what he said.
They don't want.
He and my dad talked for a while after introducing us.
No.
Keith seemed to be really nice because he kept trying to talk to T and I. When our dad left, Keith showed us around the house. T and I sat on the couch in the living room. I was excited to see a GameCube. Keith stood by the doorway with a big smile on his face and his hands on his hips as he watched me getting all excited and hooking up the GameCube. While I played some Sonic game, Keith told T to come with him. He had some games and toys for him upstairs.
No, you bring that down
for a while, and eventually I got bored of the game. I left the GameCube on, but I went upstairs to see what they were doing. The upstairs was pretty big. There was a wide hallway with a bunch of open doors, but there was one closed door. I figured they must be in there. So I opened the door to find a dark room lit up only by a computer screen. I walked over to the computer to see 2 camera screens on there. One of an empty room with a lamp on, the other with a room with T and Keith sitting on the floor playing with toys. I watched for a little bit and grew uncomfortable as I saw Keith inappropriately touching T.
Oh no.
Rubbing his shoulder really slow like.
Oh no.
Then I noticed Keith stop moving.
That's a pedophile.
Just look at my brother with a smile on his face. T looked back at him. I'm sure he was so confused. They just looked at each other for so long. I could see Keith's mouth moving, so he must have been saying something.
Oh my gosh.
I clicked around on the screen to see if I could zoom in or get some kind of sound, and the scroller on the mouse did actually zoom the screen in. But as I did this, Keith's smile vanished, and he looked up at the camera with terrifyingly wide eyes. I felt like he was looking
right at you.
I hurriedly left the room and shut the door, casually walking down the hall calling T's name. Keith came storming out of the room down the hall and looked at me with a face a hell of a lot creepier than his smile.
Oh no.
He asked in a firm, deep voice if I went into his room. My heart was racing as I said no. I could even feel the shake in my voice. He stormed down the hall and opened his bedroom door with a certain aggression. I ran to the room T was in and I told him we should leave.
We gotta get out. We gotta
go. He responded saying, he's creepy.
Yeah, he is.
That was the icing on the cake.
He is.
I told him to follow me as I grabbed him by the arm. As we were heading down the stairs, we heard Keith scream, "Yes, you did." He came from his bedroom. Then he screamed that I went through his closet too, which I did not. We ran for it. He screamed something else as we ran through the front door to the outside. I slammed his front door shut and we ran down the sidewalk until we couldn't see his house anymore.
Oh my goodness.
The man was completely insane.
Yes.
My 6-year-old brother got bad vibes from him.
Right.
Right.
I asked him if
kids
he
know.
touched him anywhere besides his shoulder. He didn't say anything though. All he did was shrug his shoulders in response. I was afraid to think about what that meant. We were
hopefully not.
At a friend's house, so we rang the bell and asked my friend's mom to use their phone. I called my dad and told him the situation.
Beat his ass.
Mom ended up letting us stay there for the night after learning of what just happened.
Call police.
My dad called the cops and reported Keith to his boss. Nothing happened to Keith legally, but my dad had a good relationship with his boss, and he managed to get him fired.
Man.
Wow.
It was like pedophile stories, basically.
I know, 2 of them were.
You just, this is why people have those little nanny cams. Like, whenever like a babysitter comes in, even though you can do your whole background check and everything clears, they still could be crazy, or something is with them that they're going to do something to your child. So people leave us little teddy bear cams and hidden cameras to see exactly what they're doing. Man, please. please. I don't
My
know.
child, boy,
Let somebody do something to one of my
I'm running up. Get it.
Let them just rub on their shoulder. I'm going to jail. So,
Oh man, these stories were truly disturbing. I think this has to be the worst one.
This is truly disturbing because it's dealing with
Yeah.
It's
That.
dealing with that, and that is very like because I'm imagining myself as like a parent, and like somebody try to do that to my child. Because my mom always told us that when we were little, she was like, "Look, if somebody ever touches y'all and I find out about it, she said I'm going to jail, and you're gonna have to visit me every week." And she was dead serious.
Yeah.
So I'm the same way.
Anyway, guys, please comment below. So she.
Bye, guys.